Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 in Accra, Love 99.5 in Kumasi, affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Jubilee Radio Keta, Sun City Radio Keta, Saboba FM Saboba, and A1 Radio Bolgatanga. We are live on Twitter Spaces, Facebook live stream, and my Joy Online interactive app. The Midday News is sponsored by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. Also brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. Coming up, government seeks technical support from IMF to develop new conduct of public officers law in a bid to address weaknesses in existing asset declaration regime. The Speaker of Parliament is, however, questioning political will.
When they go through it, the court is creating an environment different from the environment we are operating from. They see that if they follow what we put in the code, their constituents will chase them out of the constituency because it talks about doing what is right, what is just, what is moral.
Also, as the IMF cautions the Bank of Ghana over 60 billion loss, the Director of Finance at the bank is justifying the construction of a new headquarters at a cost of $250 million.
A structural integrity assessment, and we revealed that it was no longer fit for purpose and could not stand major earth tremors. That building has been in residence since independence.
Also, debate over the choice between economic interest and cultural values continue as U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, cautions passing the anti-LGBTQ bill will affect foreign business interest in Ghana.
If there is discrimination or worse, then that will send a signal to not just LGBT investors and exporters, but the other American companies.
We'll hear from some proponents of the bill shortly. Also, minority NDC rise against ECOWAS' decision to invade Niger with full military force, insisting the decision to commit Ghana should be subjected to parliamentary scrutiny.
Direct the Committee of the Chief of Defense Staff to activate the ECOWAS standby force with all its elements immediately. Order the deployment of the ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order.
Meanwhile, ranking member on the Interior and Defense Committee, James Agalga, says ECOWAS's military decision breaches UN security conventions.
The very decision of ECOWAS to use military force to dislodge the military junta in Niger was illegal.
And in sports,
GFA President Ketu Kuriku calls for unity among the football fraternity as he files his nominations for the GFA elections.
Also, NPP cautions regional elections committees against favoritism, tasking it to ensure level playing ground for all aspirants in parliamentary primaries as it closes nominations in 137 orphan constituencies.
Every officer who is acting in the capacity of the New Patriotic Party to be very mindful of this internal contest. We should all remember that everybody matters in this election.
We've got reports wrapping up the close of nominations from some constituencies. This is your election headquarters, and thanks for choosing us. Details of these and more right here on Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. It's a pleasure to have you here. The details now. Government is seeking technical support from the IMF to develop a new conduct of public officers law in a bid to address weaknesses in the existing asset declaration regime. A statement on Ghana on the IMF's website says the move is also geared towards addressing corruption. The need for a more robust law to regulate the conduct of public officers was first conceived 14 years ago, but its implementation has stalled. Listen to the Speaker of Parliament who chaired the committee that drafted the law.
As a member of Parliament then, to initiate action, I was then the majority leader in 2009, to insist that Ghana's Parliament should follow the good example of Great Britain by coming out with a code of conduct for members and staff of Parliament. A committee was established, chaired by my good self. We produced a code of conduct, and this was approved and adopted by the House. A second committee was set out to flesh out the details of the code into a manual together with the rules of ethics. Nothing came out of that committee. The code remains a paper tiger in Parliament as at today. The orientation, we always draw the attention of members to that code. But when they go through it, the code is creating an environment different from the environment we are operating from. They see that if they follow what we put in the code, their constituents will chase them out of the constituency because it talks about doing what is right, what is just, what is moral. That is what it talks about. But that is not what the society is looking for. I hope not, and that will change.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Gbagbenbe, my colleague Elton Brobe joins me in studio for more on this, especially on what the IMF has been saying. What do we know, Elton?
So, Bernice, there's a Q&A section on the IMF website where issues relating to Ghana, they have provided some response. Now, on the matter of the conduct of public officers, the statement on the IMF website says that the Ghanaian authorities are committed to improve governance and transparency under the fund-supported program. For example, the authorities have requested the IMF technical assistant to conduct a governance corruption diagnostics assessment, which will be used as input into the ongoing effort to update the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan. They also will address weaknesses in the existing asset declaration system for public officials by enacting a new Conduct of Public Officers Act. Furthermore, the Ghana Revenue Authority, with support from the IMF technical assistance, is also developing a plan with the aim to improve the professional standard of tax administration in the country.
Well, and Elton, there's also an issue about the Code of Conduct Bill because Occupy Ghana has written to President Akufo-Addo's Cabinet Secretary demanding a status. What do we know about that as well?
So they make reference to a letter dated 16 June 2023 on the above titled that right to information request on the status of the draft Conduct of Public Officers Bill 2022. In the letter, they referenced the Secretary to Cabinet, indicated that our previous letter to you dated 30th May 2023 and its attachment detailing the various useful provisions in the draft bill will be brought to the attention of Cabinet. And they have two questions they are asking. When does Cabinet intend to conclude deliberation and then approve the draft bill? When is the Attorney General planning to submit the draft bill to Parliament? Now, the Occupy Ghana said, given these compelling reasons and the urgency of the matter, we respectfully request Cabinet prompt attention and action on the draft bill.
Thanks, Elton Brobe. We have a response from the AG's office. Deputy Attorney General Godfred Tuayabua is optimistic the Code of Conduct Bill will be passed before the expiration of the 8th Parliament.
Yes, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, as it's been discussed, is a bill that has been there for quite a long time, and we are so committed to having it passed. It is considered that it's taking a long while for it to get Parliament, maybe within the term, for it to be passed. But we can give the assurance that this government, and from what we have done and what I know, speaking as the Deputy Attorney General, that bill will definitely get passed. I can assure you that. It is in the interest of Ghanaians. It is in the interest of the fight against corruption. It is in the interest of accountability to have that bill passed.
That's Deputy Attorney General Godfred Tuayabua. We stay a little longer with the IMF and issues relating to the economy because the fund has cautioned the Bank of Ghana, BOG, highlighting the importance of upholding its policy mandates despite the financial setback experienced in the fiscal year ending 2022, resulting in a 60 billion cedi loss. The minority NDC has taken on the BOG, accusing it of reckless spending. One of the criticisms is that the bank's $250 million new head office building is not necessary, but the central bank's director of finance, Charles Elias Randolph, is justifying it. He spoke to our sister station, Asempa FM.
In the years past, we noticed some cracks at certain parts of the building, and the bank did a structural integrity assessment and revealed that it was no longer fit for purpose and could not stand major earth tremors. That building has been in residence since independence. And that's why management saw the need that once we realize that our building may be under threat and will put the life of people in danger once something drastic happens, then they put measures in place to ensure that we put up a new building. It was not started last year anyway. When was it started? I think it was started about 2 years ago in 2021. But it has been on the drawing board for a long time.
2020 or 2021?
I think the construction started in 2021.
In 2021.
Yeah.
How much is the Bank of Ghana committing to that project?
I don't have the figure offhand, sir.
The figure for your headquarters?
I don't have a figure off my head, sir. That's what I'm saying.
$250 million. Are you committing $250 million to that project?
I don't have the full complement of the figures at this moment.
Mr. Randolph, you are the Director of Finance of the Bank of Ghana. This is a major project that will shake the balance book of every organization. You should have that figure of head.
This project has been on the drawing board for more than 4 or 5 years. Once you have been told that where you are sitting has structural problems and we don't know what may happen in future, you take steps to ensure that you save life and property. Respectfully, sir.
Oh, Mr. Randolph has also been denying that the bank paid its board members $8,000 monthly.
No, we don't pay that much to directors. I think that information that is going on is not the truth. If you look at the director's expenses, it includes committee meetings, board retreats, training, secretarial expenses, and things like that. We don't pay directors that amount of fees that is being banded around.
Yeah, but that was around 8 million Ghana cedis.
Yes. So maybe later on we can talk about the details of this, but we don't pay board members that kind of money.
Yeah, but the point is, how do you justify that amount in the report, 8 million, when clearly the economy was in crisis? Couldn't they have sacrificed a bit?
The components are committee meeting expenses, board retreats, board training, logistics to run the secretariat, as to.
You heard the Director of Finance at the Bank of Ghana, Charles Elias Randolph, speaking to Osei Bonsu on sister station Asempa FM's Ekosi, saying this is the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. The Executive Director of the EPA, Dr. Henry Kwabena Kukufu, has ordered the immediate closure of the non-ferrous metal company limited at Shai Hills in the Shai Osudoku district here in the Greater Accra region, and this is over poor environmental compliance. An ongoing tour of the facility, which forms part of the EPA's measures to ensure industries in the country adhere to environmental regulations, revealed, among other things, hazardous working conditions of workers.
We are not here to mar anybody's business, but we cannot allow production of this magnitude to go on. Polluting the air, acid all over the place. You, the workers, the staff are being subjected to and then exposed to hazards. We don't want it to happen to you. You are so precious to the country Ghana. You are sons of Ghana. You deserve to work in a very congenial environment, just as any other person. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
We are afraid that you might have been exposed to substances like lead. So we're going to bring in the public health to test each one of you at the expense of the company. We will temporarily close down the factory and summon the owners to the head office to come and explain why they are working under these conditions.
That's Executive Director of the EPA, Dr. Henry Kwabena Kukufu, speaking to some workers of the Non-Ferrous Metal Company Limited after a tour by the EPA. My colleague Carlos Caloni is there for us. Hello, Carlos. Have you been speaking to some of these workers? What have their reactions been?
All right, so Bernice, yes, I have, and they seem to be okay with the arrangement. But the non-ferrous metal is actually a company that is located on the main Akosombo Highway in the Shai Osudoku district, and they're actually into recycling of scrap or used batteries. And the workers, like you mentioned, are about 40 in this particular industry. And the EPA, as part of its monitoring this morning, uncovered that the company is not adhering to environmental regulations and has therefore ordered its closure. So I have with me here the Executive Director of EPA, Dr. Kwabena Kukufu, to tell us more. Sir, so can you confirm the closure, and beyond today's closure, what's next?
Yes, there have been a temporary closure. We've ordered for that. We've asked them to report to the head office on Monday. And then we have our officers on the ground, the Tema regional office, and then the Ghana Cleaner Production Unit, or center. They will come in and then make the necessary assessment.
So that's Carlos Kaloni speaking to the Executive Director of the EPA. This is the Midday News with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. To some other stories now. A recent caution from the United States Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, over the passage of the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bills has renewed a debate over the choice between economic interest and cultural values. The World Bank has halted lending to Uganda over the passage of a similar bill, saying the law fundamentally contradicts the bank's values. Speaking to the media at the U.S. Ghana Business Expo on Thursday, the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, said passing Ghana's anti-LGBTQ bill could affect foreign direct investment into the country.
Ghana is a very welcoming, tolerant society. Lots of interreligious harmony, a lot of interethnic harmony, and that makes Ghana strong and stable and attractive for investment. I hope it stays that way with regard to the LGBT community. And again, there's money to be made. You know, the color of your money is green or red if it's Ghanaian. But if there is discrimination or worse, then that will send a signal to not just LGBT investors and exporters, but the other American companies that Ghana is less welcoming than I'm telling people that it is now. So I hope it will stay welcoming. Appetite for that. I want to send a signal that Ghana is open for business and that Ghana's economic recovery has begun.
Now, that's U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, there speaking at the U.S. Ghana Business Expo. Let's now speak to one of the sponsors of that bill in Parliament, MP for Ningo Pram Pram, Sam George. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me. Now, you've heard the U.S. Ambassador, and we've seen the action taken by the World Bank. Are these not signals for you to tread cautiously?
Well, good afternoon to you and your listeners. Yes, I've heard the U.S. Ambassador, and I think that her fears are unfounded. She makes the point in the voice that you played that Ghana is religiously tolerant, and that's part of the reasons why we're very strong as an investment destination. However, the same Ghana frowns on religious extremism, which the U.S. likes. And so even though there are people who may have investment, we refuse their investment because of their religious extremist opinions and positioning. And that's fine. That makes Ghana still a very tolerant destination. So how then does she conclude that if Ghana decides to pass laws that strengthen its cultural values, it makes us a destination that's unfavorable? The investors who attended the well-attended U.S. Ghana Business Summit are very aware that Ghana is about to pass this law and that Ghana will pass this law. Yet they came because for business people, they don't care about the fact that you want to protect your cultural values. They care about their profit margins and the bottom line. That's why you have American investors working in countries like Qatar and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, where the same issue is punished by death. But they think about their profit line, and that's what matters to them. So the U.S. ambassador should be rest assured Ghana will remain friendly, will remain welcoming. And many of these U.S. investors are from states like Florida and Kentucky, where they even have stricter laws than what Ghana is yet to pass. They already have such laws in place.
And Mr. George, so, I mean, that's one side of the conversation.
Is one that she should rest easy on.
All right. But the other is what we've seen the World Bank do with Uganda, for example. So, I mean, we've clearly seen an action taken against another African country.
Ghana is not Uganda, first and foremost. And let's just state here that, look, the World Bank is being extremely hypocritical and being dishonest. You see, and when you have international organizations become conduits for homosexual propaganda and activism, it tells you that we are in dire straits. And I think as a country, we need to begin to think about our alliances properly. Because when you read the World Bank statement on Uganda, they claim that their values as an institution. What are the World Bank's values on its website? It says inclusivity and diversity. Are those not the very things they claim are their values? Now, what does inclusivity mean? What does diversity mean? Inclusivity and diversity will mean that you appreciate and welcome and accommodate all shades of opinion. That's why you call yourself inclusive. That's why you call yourself diverse. I haven't called myself diverse. I haven't called myself inclusive. I am pro-heterosexual. You have said you are inclusive on your website. You have called yourself a diversity-driven institution. Now, I take a position. Uganda takes a position pro one side. And then you say, you who claim to be inclusive and diverse, you are fighting Uganda.
So in short,
for
you're saying
the
that,
other side.
So in short, you're saying
if
that,
they're not being hypocritical and dishonest, what are they?
And you're saying that this will not in any way affect our desire to pass the bill, right? Right, that's Sam George. He's MP for Ningo Pram Pram and one of the sponsors of the anti-LGBTQ bill in Parliament. This is the Midday News. Just gone by, government seeks technical support from IMF to develop new conduct of public officers law to address weaknesses in the existing asset declaration regime. Still to come.
Every officer who is acting in the capacity of the New Patriotic Party to be very mindful of this internal contest. We should all remember that everybody matters in this election.
NPP cautions Regional Elections Committee against favoritism, tax them to ensure level playing grounds for all aspirants. Details in a moment.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. You know both. You know chop. Where it vanish for your area for 2 weeks. You not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Hajia, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor gets water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank gets meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Thanks for staying on the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's now time for sports, and Daniel Cranting has the latest. Hello.
Hi, Bernice. The GFA President Ketu Kreko has called for unity among the football fraternity as the association's elections draws near. Okreko, who is seeking a second term in office, filed his nomination earlier today at the GFA headquarters ahead of next month's election. According to the former Dreams FC president, togetherness is of paramount importance during this trying period in Ghana football.
The trusted leader is the one speaking to all of us. People believe in the leadership. That's the reason why they are here. They trust the leadership. That's why they are here. Most importantly, they trust in the vision of the leader. We are together. We are together in good times. We are together in bad times. Our game will go through bad times, but our game will go through a lot of good times. Our collective future is very bright. We have to be patient. We have to come together as a family, but that's the essence of being part of this association.
You had the GFA President Ketu Kreko speaking there. That's all for sports. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And the minority in Parliament is calling for a reconvening of the House over the decision by ECOWAS to activate a standby force that would deploy the military into Niger to restore constitutional order. The regional body took this decision and others after an extraordinary summit in Abuja yesterday. President Akufo-Addo and 11 other West African leaders have ordered their military commanders to commence necessary actions to that effect. Before we hear from the minority, listen to Nigeria's president and ECOWAS chairperson, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The outcome of this summit is a testament to the power of collaboration and unity. We have reaffirmed our commitment to the people of Niger and to the progress of our entire ECOWAS community. No option is taken or table, including the use of force as a last resort.
That's Nigeria's president and ECOWAS chairperson Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Meanwhile, ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Samuel Okujetu-Ablakwa, says President Akufo-Addo must subject the decision of ECOWAS to parliamentary scrutiny. On the other hand, the ranking member on the Interior and Defense Committee, James Agalga, says the decision by ECOWAS is illegal.
The only body which is mandated to authorize the use of force is the UN Security Council. Now, the fundamental question to ask is, did we have a Security Council resolution authorizing the use of force prior to ECOWAS coming out to threaten to use force? The answer is no. And so straight away, the very decision of ECOWAS to use military force to dislodge the military junta in Niger was illegal.
That's James Agalga. He is ranking member on Parliament's Interior Committee. He spoke on the AM show. Now, let's do some politics. And the governing New Patriotic Party is cautioning its officers involved in the internal parliamentary primary processes against favoritism. It's therefore tasked them to ensure a level playing ground for all aspirants who filed to contest in the 137 orphan constituencies. According to the party, failure to do so will create post-election divisions that have the potential of disrupting unity in the party. Let's take you to the Ododo-Diodio constituency now, where three-time contender Neil Lante Bannerman says the contest is a done deal for him.
The former chairperson of the National Premix Committee contests for the third time against Manaf Sowa, despite losing the seat to the NDC's Neil Ante Vanderpoy with over 6,000 votes in the 2020 general elections. He believes he has enough experience for a better shot this time.
Having contested for 3 times, I have enough experience to know what to do and what not to do. And I can tell you, it will be difficult for me to tell you what is up my sleeves. But I can assure you that we are very poised to win the seat.
From the Ododo-Diodio constituency, let's go to the Upper East region now, where Chief Executive Officer for the National Food Buffer Stock Company, Hanan Abdul Wahab, believes he is the right person to end the MPP's power drought in Pusiga.
The CEO of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company says in the upcoming NPP parliamentary primary, he wants the opportunity to lead the MPP in Pusiga so he can eventually win the parliamentary seat and bring more development to the area.
People are now seeing the difference. Previous leaders haven't been sincere to the people that there's an opportunity out there, that there's a different world out there that you can go.
After filing his paperwork, Alhaji Aludiba was confident he was eventually going to get the mandate to lead the MPP in the Pusiga constituency to the 2024 parliamentary election.
And in the Upper West region, correspondent Rafiq Salam reports the 3 cousins are battling it out in Wa Central.
Accompanied by hundreds of his supporters, including former Wa Central chairman of the MPP, Ali Kusampo Kamara, he was welcomed into the party's office by members of the election committee, led by Abbas Mumin Siddiqui. Abbas Mumin okayed the documents after he perused through them. The war mayor, in his interaction with the media, described himself as dependable, honest, and an old horse who doesn't fear race.
Being called an old horse who doesn't fear race, we have been in it 2 times as a parliamentary candidate and 3rd time as a parliamentary aspirant.
Rafiq Salam reporting from Wa. We can now listen to Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, cautioning regional elections committees against favoritism.
Every election goes with its rules and regulations. And I invite every member of this party, every officer who is acting in the capacity of the New Patriotic Party, to be very mindful of this internal contest. We should all remember that everybody matters in this election.
That Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed. Away from politics, and before we go, becoming Mr. and Mrs. It's the latest product under the Joy Family Forum. Tomorrow, more than 100 singles will converge at the Best Western Plus Hotel in Nungwa for the maiden edition. Joining us on the line now is Programs Manager of Joy FM, Edem Naite. Hello, Edem. What's this program about and what should we expect?
Hi, Bernice. Well, like you rightly said,
This is a program for singles. Everybody who is planning to get married or you have intentions of getting married, this is a program for you because we're going to be teaching people and having education from our speakers who are all very ready for tomorrow on all you need to know before marriage. Yes, we were planning for just, a handful of people. Now we have done like more than 2 or 3 times that number. And so there are no more tickets. We're not selling tickets at the gate. We're already set up. It's ongoing, and we're just praying to God for a very clear weather tomorrow, and we will have a very beautiful program.
For those who can't be there, how do we join the program?
Well, a part of it will be on radio from 6 a.m., but then we will go off at some point, and then hopefully it will be on social media.
Grateful. That's Adam Naite. She's programs manager here at Joy FM. And in this edition of the Midday News with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. The Midday News is brought to you by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank where Duraplast goes, water flows. Also brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm grateful for your company. Have a good afternoon. Up next is Living Word